Today it's time for a professional match of StarCraft 2, and what I've got for you is a Protoss versus Zerg, where the very first player here in the top right-hand corner of Pillars of Gold is a pro who I have not actually casted a game of on this YouTube channel before. Playing here with the red Protoss probes from Russia, we have none other than Skillous. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing with the blue Zerg drones. I mean, if you've been watching my YouTube channel over the last couple of years, you know that he is one of my favorite Zerg players to cast, just because he plays very differently than pretty much all the other top-level Zergs do. And, I mean, if you like fun StarCraft, you probably enjoy watching none other than Bly. Alrighty, so I think we all know by now that Bly is very good. However, Skillous, like I said, he's one of those players who I haven't actually covered before. And it's not to say that he's like a weak player whatsoever, because as of me making this video, he's the current rank 12 outside of South Korea. Which means that, technically speaking actually, he's even higher ranked than Bly at the moment. He's higher ranked than, well, let me actually get this right. He's higher ranked than Sol, Kalazur, Bly, Scarlet, Estrella, Maxpex, and Mana right now on Aligalek. Now, Aligalek, of course, is a statistics website. It keeps track of all of the pro games that are being played. And I can imagine one of the reasons why Skillous has gone up quite a bit in that ranking is because he recently managed to beat the world champion, Dark, in a 2-0 fashion. Now, obviously, this is Bly we're talking about, right? So, let's have a look. Of course, it's the classic hatch, I guess, gas pool as a follow-up right now. This is one of the things that, of course, Bly is very well known for. He loves going for the proxy hatcheries. And even though this doesn't really deal that much damage, he will probably just end up canceling it. It's just that it throws Protoss players off of their game. And I actually think this is a really good way to check how good someone currently is, right? Because if you're, say, for example, a weaker Protoss player, you might freak out and you won't really know exactly what to do. You're going to certainly be thrown off of your build order quite a bit, because normally you go Cybercore into Nexus, right? Or Nexus into Cybercore. I mean, this is one of the situations where you have to be able to be an adaptable Protoss player. And in this case, apparently, he decides to pull a couple of probes and then also go for that Zealot rather than the Adept as the very first gateway unit. Now, if you cancel the hatchery fast enough and you queue up the Evo chamber, you have just enough creep to actually get that one up and running. Is that drone going to be able to get out of here? Ooh, he wants to get a scout in the main base. Looks like he will be able to. Looking for that second pylon, of course. You always want to figure out roughly what kind of tech structure the Protoss is going to be adding on here after going for that Cybercore and then the first gateway unit. Now already though, in the meantime on the other side of the map, we do see that third hatchery planted down. Big picture here. I mean, there's obviously some lost resources. It's only 93 in total. Obviously, there's some lost mining time as well there for that drone, because it technically could have been mining, and obviously the same can be said for the probe pool. But honestly, big picture, it doesn't really matter all too much. It's just gonna, you know, throw the opponent off just a little bit, because I think that Bly is very, very experienced playing something like that. Now, that's a little bit sloppy. Losing that one drone over there is actually more damage than the Zerg has done so far, and that was basically a free kill. So it is going to be that Stargate transition here from the Protoss player. Anyway, so like I said, I didn't actually catch the series, but apparently Skillous recently managed to beat Dark. I tried getting my hands on those replays, but sadly, at the very least, as far as I can figure out so far, they are not available. So it's a little bit sad. I would love to see those games. Maybe there were some cheesy Protoss builds, right? You never know. I mean, even the best players in the world fall for some cheekiness from time to time. Anyways, while these two Adepts are here and while the Zealot is also now slicing away over at the third base, the Zerglings, rather than defending the mineral line, have decided to go all the way to the other side of the map. And right now, Skillous realizes it, plugs that hole in the wall off just barely in time. Obviously, Warp Gate is very late in this kind of scenario as well. That's quite a few drones going down, but it's only... actually, you know what? I thought he would have killed way more than that. It's only 2 drones here in total. Third base will probably be in a little bit of trouble here if these Zerglings do not go home. And it looks like that is exactly what Bly decides to do. Okay, so I think the third base will probably live. Another drone? Nope, not quite. That guy's gonna go into the main base instead, but the drones now apparently are gonna be the measure to get rid of that unit. In the meantime, of course, that Stargate, don't forget about it. It is now Crota boosting out an Oracle. Even though this is 2020 and we do see a ton of Void Ray first, apparently Oracle is still going to be the bread and butter for many Protoss players out there, especially in these kind of hectic scenarios. So already, right, this is why I like casting Bly games. Already, this is a bit of a strange game. It's a little bit different than we see at the highest level of play. And obviously, he's got a variety of ways to follow this up with as well. Alrighty, so good defense right here by Skillous, by the way. Good crisis management. That's one of the hardest things in StarCraft 2 to achieve. Crisis management in general. A little bit slow there on the response time, right? Like, that's unnecessary. 3 drones right there going down, and then the queen finally moves. Those are the things when, if you watch, for example, like a Serral or a Raynor play, he will be there, right? He will already be there. As a matter of fact, he will probably have an Overlord over here or a Zergling or something along those lines, spotting those sort of things. 3 drones doesn't seem like a big deal, but I mean, every single second that goes by, when you lose a worker, it's basically 1 mineral down the drain, right? So those 3 drones, they probably could have stayed alive for at least another, like, I don't know, 10 minutes if the game goes on for that long. It's a lot of minerals that add up over time, and obviously you can replace them, but every single worker certainly counts. And I think that those 3 drones could have actually been prevented quite easily with the queen in a better position and with a little bit more know-how. 2 additional drones, though, do end up going down. I mean, big picture, once again, it's only 7 workers in total, but what I'm trying to say is that it could have been prevented. Now, can the Protoss player here keep that 3rd base alive? I think he's going to be able to keep the 3rd base alive, but he does lose both of those adepts. A couple of Zerglings going down at the cost of it as well, though. Especially now with the shield battery finishing, it doesn't really matter all too much. Here's the Void Ray, by the way. Of course, there has to be at least 1 Void Ray, right? I mean, having only a single Void Ray would be kind of crazy. Follow-up, though, here from Protoss is going to be a robotics facility. So Immortal's now being chrono boosted out, and he's already going for that Twilight Council as well to get some of those standard mid-game upgrades. So it seems to me like this is going to be a more standard, conventional mid-game here from the Protoss, where he focuses his unit composition around the Archon and the Immortal, and then also the Zealot. Eventually, probably with Psionic Storm. It's kind of funny, we haven't really seen this all too often, it seems like, in the casts that I've done recently. For like 2 years straight, we saw Archon Immortal Zealot as like the default in every single Zerg versus Protoss. And whenever someone made a Colossus, you know, we would freak out because that was uncommon. But yeah, good old Archon Immortal Zealot Storm. The thing is, it hasn't gotten any weaker. There's, by the way, the Templar Archives. It hasn't gotten any weaker. It's just that I guess Void Rays are now more viable, and therefore Skytoss transitions are a little bit easier to achieve as well. Obviously, Banelings did get nerfed twice. So, because of that, I guess, you know, Archon Immortal Zealot is still certainly very playable. It now takes a ton of Banelings to kill an Archon. I mean, it already did in the past, but right now I believe the number of Banelings for 1 Archon is currently at 22? I think it's either 21 or 22, but anyways, it takes a lot of Banelings to kill an Archon. So what I'm trying to say, like, back in the day, Ravager Ling Bane was the most popular composition for Zerg players to play against Archon Immortal Zealot Storm. But, I mean, that composition is not nearly as strong as it once was. Anyways, looks like for now, Roach Ravager is going to be the name of the game. There is a Spire coming up, and a bunch of Swarm Hosts. Huh. Roach, Swarm Host, Muta? Maybe? I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, Roach, Zergling, Swarm Host, I think that this is probably going to be like 1 round of Mutas then, right? Like 8 Mutas or so. Good scout right there, by the way, by Skillous. He does see the Spire. Now, obviously, this could be a Bly move, right? You never know if the Spire is actually a real Spire. Even if it's there, it might not necessarily be something that he wants to sit on for too long. So do you immediately go into, like, I don't know, Phoenix production, for example, to counter any Muta play? I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, here we go. Zerglings do manage to get a wraparound. Good Corrosive Balls there as well. A couple of the Swarmos are already present, so they activate their Locust ability. Ooh, I actually thought that that 4th base was toast, but it looks like the Zerg is now actually pushing back this Protoss army nicely. And a good pickup there as well with that Warp Prism. Recall is going to be utilized. Can he get any kills? Looks like 1 Archon and 1 Immortal ends up going down. Whew, alrighty. No 4th Nexus to be seen anywhere yet for Skillous, actually. He needs to start looking for that one very shortly. As you can see, the main base at this point is starting to run out. He does decide to go for a 2nd Stargate. Ugh. That's a little scary because he knows that there's a chance for a big Muta transition, but he doesn't know if it's actually going to be happening, right? So it looks like he wants to go for double Stargate Phoenix or even triple Stargate Phoenix. I like it, but I don't like it against Roach Ravager Swarm Host. Right? It's very good against Mutas, so it so happens to be that apparently Mutas are going to be the follow-up right now. Now, this is a really nice little Locust wave over here. Look at that. 10 probes end up going down in the blink of an eye. 12 even. 13, 14. No, 13. That's a really good Locust wave. Relatively small commitment here as well in these Swarm Hosts. Now, a couple of Zealots do end up finding those Swarm Hosts here. Those, what do we call them again? Hell Muffins? Yes, the Hell Muffins. They do get found right here on the right-hand side of the map, so I think that those will probably be picked off. At the same time, the leftover Stargate units also ended up sniping some of the Roaches and Ravagers. This is usually why you bring a Swarm Host and a Nidus Worm together to a party. Just because they're very good when it comes to, you know, working together. Swarm Hosts are a little bit silly when it comes to, you know, fighting when their Locusts are on cooldown. All they can really do is run or hide inside of a Nidus Worm. Anyways, here's the Mutalisks. Obviously, if you go for a Nidus Worm, you can't get nearly as many of those Mutas. It's a very strange transition. Roach Ravager Swarm Host, pretty normal. I mean, not that common, but pretty common. Now a transition into Mutalisks. I kind of like it. So there's 11 Mutas here in total. I don't think he's going to build any more, right? Now that he sees all of these Phoenixes, I mean, it's probably not a good idea. So really good scouting there by Skillous, making the best of this very awkward scenario. Okay. Mutas will be pushed away there eventually. At the same time, apparently, a couple of Zealots made their way towards this base over here too. They ended up killing a couple of drones. I wonder if those are the same Zealots that ended up killing those Swarm Hosts earlier. Speaking of Swarm Host, only a couple of them remain, but they will try and get whatever value they can. There you go, getting another probe. Few Zealots over here get cleaned up as well. Very clean defense here by Bly at this point. I mean, he managed to, after that very strange start, he now managed to secure himself a solid economy. Now here's the follow-up though. Fleet Beacon is coming up. Additional Phoenixes are still being produced. So maybe he's just going to go for the ranged upgrade, the Anion Pulse Crystals, in the Fleet Beacon instead. I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, this does open up the front door as well to go straight into a Mothership and then into Skytles in general, which seems to be what Protoss players are still aiming for right now. Even after that Archon Immortal Zealot mid-game, you can very nicely transition towards a Skytles a little while later. Yeah, so there it is. There's the ranged upgrade for those Phoenixes. It's going to give them +2 range, making them significantly better against Mutas in particular. But honestly, it seems like the era of the Muta is mostly over, man. He's not adding on any more. I don't think so anyway, no. Only 3 ended up going down. There's a couple of Corruptors now coming up as a follow-up as well, which is pretty neat. I mean, Swarm Hosts are, sorry, like Phoenixes are kind of strange. Recall, by the way, was utilized, so these Mutas are never going to go home. Look at that. They do kill a lot of probes there on their way out, though, which is really nice. So how many workers are we talking? Yeah, 36 probes end up being killed so far in this game. So Phoenixes are a bit of a strange unit. They're extremely good in the mid-game, but it seems like as soon as Zerg armies grow and as soon as the anti-air grows, they're kind of So, yeah, like what are they going to do against all of these Corruptors, for example? I guess you want to try and just simply trade them out for workers here at some point. It's a weird unit because if microed correctly, they can deal a lot of damage like this. And they can deal like a... If you blink twice and they get into a mineral line, they will kill the entire mineral line. But they can't kill structures, right? So it's a bit of a strange unit to have too much of when you're maxed out. So this is, well, a very significant amount of supply right there caught up in those Phoenixes. And since Protoss is getting rather close to maxing out, I don't know exactly how many of those units you still really want to have part of your army. Anyhow. A couple of Void Rays are now added on as well here by the Protoss player, which I like a lot. Void Rays obviously fantastic against Corruptors, really good against Roaches as well. It seems like that is most of the Zerg's army at this point. At the same time, by the way, there is that Greater Spire transition from Bly. A couple of Banelings tried making their way over towards that base over there, but good structure positioning right there by Skillous manages to keep all of those probes alive for now. Very dynamic game of Zerg versus Protoss so far, right? You can see both of these players trying to outsmart each other. Like, this feels like a strategy game to me. Sometimes StarCraft 2 can very much feel like a guy playing faster than another guy, and then eventually the faster player wins. This is very much so both players trying to strategically outsmart each other. So apparently it's now a Viper and an Infestor as a transition right now. Bit of a strange composition to go for both, and just one of each. Technically it's got a lot of potential, but very difficult to actually pull off. So this is what I was talking about. Phoenixes managed to go across the map. Corruptors are kind of far away. And they kill 12 drones just like that. He can play them a lot more aggressively right now because he needs to open up some supply anyway to start trading those units out to something better. Getting a Viper! Oh, yep, there you go. Very worth it. Getting a Viper there, absolutely fantastic. Vipers are not cheap units, man. Can he kill a couple of drones as well on his way out? Yeah, sure. There you go. Pick those up. And this is all the while escaping from those Corruptors, right? Anyways, here we go. Big engagement in the meantime on the other side of the map. There are a couple of Void Rays. Technically speaking, they're going to be able to kill these Roaches, Ravagers, and Banelings. However, they take a long time to do so. At the same time, the majority of the Protoss army has made their way across the map. These are all the leftover ground units. I don't know if I like this decision too much, although I guess the Zerg player is going to be the one right now returning home. Ravagers are going to be the name of the game at this point, so Corrosive Bowels apparently are going to be the weapon of choice right here from the Zerg. There is a fungal growth available, so I guess he wants to land a fungal right here to slow down this advancement. All the Ravagers, though, at this point are done. At the same time, the Corruptors right now forced to fight a lot of those prismatically aligned Void Rays. Fungal growth does land. Good Corrosive Bowels right there on the Phoenixes as well. Phoenix is mostly just soaking up a lot of damage at this point. One Viper right there flying to its grave. Is there going to be enough right now for the Zerg player to defend, though? Most of those Void Rays are still alive. Really good control here. Prismatic Alignment obviously is going to be on cooldown. Corrosive Bowels once again go down, and it does end up killing another one of those Archons. Reinforcing Protoss units are coming up, though. This is a very scary battle. At the same time, those two Archons are still getting a lot of damage done. They obviously eat all of those Zerglings for breakfast. Very scrappy battle. Units are pretty much everywhere. Corruptors are spawning right now, and they just simply fly straight to their deaths. Pretty sure the Void Rays once again reign supreme. Supreme rather. There's a couple of Root Lords right here on the left-hand side of the screen. Prismatic Alignment is available, so those Corruptors are indeed not gonna be enough. And there it is. G is cold. Just a single G. And with that, Skillous obtains the victory against Bly. It's obviously impossible to predict the future, right? But I think it is important, especially since, you know, StarCraft 2 is a game that constantly develops and the skill level is still continuously going up. It's important to, at the very least, be aware of up-and-coming pro gamers and players that might very well be winning tournaments in the near future. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.